Good afternoon. Welcome to the Assembly Education Committee of April 26th. I'm calling the hearing of the Assembly Education Committee to order. We are going to start as a subcommittee because we do not have a quorum at this time. So again, we will start as a subcommittee. We have 28 measures on file today. We have a lot today. So I'm going to ask everybody to be as brief and succinct as possible. 2 witnesses, 2 minutes. I'm going to hold very hard to that unless you've made prior arrangements. There are a couple that have made prior arrangements to have more than 2 witnesses. That is the standard in this committee, so that is the practice we will follow today. And when you do come up to comment on a bill as a member of the public, you need only state your name, affiliation, and position on the bill. And if you're neutral, you probably really don't even need to say that because you're neutral. All right, with that, again, we have 28 measures on file today, and 5 are on consent. The consent items are as follows. Item number 3, AB 203. Item number 11, AB 1035. Item number 14, AB 1122. Item number 19, AB 1227. Item number 28, ACR 58. That's item number 28. We have 5 bills that have been pulled from today's hearing. Item number 2, AB 1449. Item number 13, AB 1087. Item number 16, AB 1183. Item number 18, AB 1224. File item number 23, AB 1329. I believe we have a quorum now. Please call the roll.
O'Donnell?
Here.
O'Donnell here. Flora?
Here.
Flora here. Gloria?
Here.
Gloria here. Kylie? McCarty? Thurmond?
Here.
Thurmond here. Weber?
Here.
Weber here.
That's fine with me. I'm fine with whatever. Okay. A quorum has been established. We're going to immediately move to our first bill, which is a special order, meaning it's a time certain. That is AB 312. That's by me. That will be taken up as a special order again, and I will present that bill. I'm going to hand the gavel over to our very new vice chair today, apparently, Mr. Flora, who's sitting in for Mr. Chavez, who is not present today. So we're going to move forward with AB 312 by O'Donnell.
Mr. Don, when you're ready. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. AB 312 will provide much-needed funding for the equalization of special education funding rates and will provide funding to support special education preschool programs. I think we can all agree that our students with exceptional needs deserve a high-quality education which allows them to reach their full potential. But our current special education funding system presents barriers where there should be opportunities. For decades, California's special education funding rates have varied considerably, from $480 to $930 per pupil, for no logical reason. In fact, the differences in funding date to an informal survey of expenditures conducted in 1979. This means that a student with exceptional needs in one region of the state may get significantly less state support than a student in another region. Schools have been living with these inequities for nearly 40 years, and addressing them is a simple matter of fairness. AB 312 would provide funding to equalize rates, but only after the local control funding formula is fully funded. Funding for special education preschool also presents a barrier where there should be opportunity at a critical time in children's lives. California schools are required to provide a free and appropriate public education to preschool-age children. But in spite of this mandate, no state funding is allocated for special education preschool programs. This is short-sighted because early intervention programs for preschoolers are an excellent investment. Many children with special needs who receive interventions as preschoolers make significant gains and do not need services when they reach school age, resulting in cost savings to schools ultimately. Equalization and special education preschool funding are common sense investments in fairness and quality for our most valued students. With me today in support, I have the following witnesses who will be dividing their time. Ms. Robin Fagan, Ms. Chris Knutson, Jennifer Stahlhaber, I hope I said that correctly, and Marilyn Kochala Lucy. I hope I said all those correctly. If not, please correct me, introduce yourselves, and I turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Proceed with your witnesses.
Good afternoon, Chairman O'Donnell and members of the committee. My name is Robin Fagan, and I serve as the Director of Special Education and Pupil Services in the Ventura Unified School District. I am in strong support of Assembly Bill 312, and I thank Assemblyman O'Donnell for authoring this bill and his staff for the great analysis of the bill. I believe that AB 312 would resolve two major special education funding adequacy and equity issues by equalizing special education AB 602 base funding rates, and also by establishing a formula within the current AB 602 funding model to account for the preschoolers that we serve with disabilities. There can be no dispute that special education is underfunded and inequitable. For years, the Legislative Analyst's Office has recommended that the legislature and the administration fund special education base rates at the 90th percentile. There's no justification for why base special education funding rates vary so drastically throughout the state, spanning from about $482 to $930 for no discernible reason. As the special education director, I see how my school district struggles with the rising costs of providing critical and mandated educational and related services to our most vulnerable students with disabilities. Lastly, AB 312 amends the current funding model to account for the average daily attendance for preschool-age children with disabilities. There have been numerous studies that describe the benefits of early intervention and preschool programs. Early intervention programs, especially for preschool-aged children with disabilities, provide significant educational and social benefits and result in significant future costs to the state and school agencies during the student's remaining educational career. Therefore, Ventura Unified School District and my colleagues throughout Ventura County support AB 312 and respectfully ask for your support. I also respectfully submit a letter of support from my school district that didn't get registered in the list of supporters. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Knutson. I'm from the San Diego area, and I'm here today representing parents' perspective in support of AB 312. My daughter Carrie was diagnosed with Down syndrome at birth. She has been in the public school system her entire education. I've been very involved with my daughter's education every step of the way, and I've been an advocate at both the state and federal levels for over 20 years to ensure that our most vulnerable kids have access to a quality education in the least restrictive environments. I always address the inefficiency of state and federal education funding and the impact it has on both special education and general education programs and services. During the recession, I watched my district struggle to manage cuts to key programs and services such as art, music, and other programs that my daughter thrived in. Since the recession ended, it has been great to see some of that funding and programs restored, with the exception of special education. There's not been any major funding increases proposed for special education programs and services since the late 1990s. That's unfair and unjust to all our kids. I support AB 312 because I believe it will not only add more funding to special education system, it will result in equity and fairness for all our kids. And I wanted to thank Assemblyman O'Donnell for authoring the bill, and thank you for your consideration.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Jennifer Stahlhaber, and I'm the Director of External Business Services for Sutter County Superintendent of Schools. I am also a member of the California Association of School Business Officials, and I'm here in support of the bill. In 2015-16, roughly 11% of K-12 students had been identified as having exceptional needs, demonstrating a continuing rise for support and services. The severity of needs and demand for services has increased, which has required school districts to carve out funds to supplement these rising costs. Unfortunately, federal funds have dwindled to 9% of the overall special education funding, making it difficult to meet the needs of all students, let alone our students with the greatest needs. We need to begin making strides to recognize that our students with exceptional needs deserve a world-class education.
Ma'am, I hate to interrupt you. This is the 4 minutes. Would you like to wrap up your thoughts so we can allow time for the next witness, please?
Just summarize.
Okay, and deserve quality services to support their academic needs, life skills, and mental health. Equalization for special education is needed desperately, and AB 312 is a step in the right direction. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of our students and schools. I urge you to support AB 312.
And Mr. Chair, I did share at the beginning that there were some people that had contact with my office, and I know you weren't aware of that, so we could have a couple more witnesses, and this is such a case
This is the
before
one
us right now.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's good information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the members of the committee. My name is Marilyn Cachola Lucy, and I am here as a representative for the California State PTA and as a San Francisco Bay Area parent of a young man of color with a learning disability and a social disability. I know you know what the school-to-prison pipeline is. I know you know that young men of color are overrepresented in the prison population. But what you may not know is that prison inmates are 6 times more likely to have a cognitive disability than someone who is not in prison. Despite my son's intelligence, my son's behavior became problematic in early elementary school to the point that he was suspended when he was in 1st grade. It was a principal with special education training who alerted me to the fact that my son's behavior was most likely rooted in a disability. My son was found eligible for an IEP and received both learning services and social communication skills support as part of special education. Today, my son attends general education classes in high school and prepares for college. For him, special education disrupted what could have been his prison pipeline. I support AB 312 and the funding for special education in early intervention because it provides an investment in the right place. Thank you, Assemblyman O'Donnell, for authoring this important bill.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for our witnesses. Any other additional witnesses in support?
Good afternoon. Michelle McKay Underwood on behalf of the Oakland, Torrance, and Fresno Unified School Districts here in support.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Lacoste, and I'm representing the California School Funding Coalition and its 40 school districts, as well as Sacramento City Unified. I want to thank the author and the staff for the great analysis on this bill. I hope every member of the legislature will read it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Steve Ward, representing Clovis Unified School District. Clovis's school board has recently approved a public resolution supporting AB 312. The board thanks the Chairman O'Donnell for supporting this critical bill.
Name, affiliation, position, please.
Mary Samples, Ventura County. I'm representing the Coalition for Adequate Funding for Special Education, and we are a co-sponsor of the bill, and we fully support. Thank you, Assemblyman O'Donnell.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Sam Nash with the LA County Office of Education, and we are support this bill.
Thank you.
Christy Sepulveda Birch of Educate Advocate. We're in support.
Thank you.
Darla Boyerman, Santa Cruz County for Health Choice. We support.
Chairman, members, Jeff Frost, representing the California Association of Suburban School Districts, in support.
Mr. Chair, Jeff Baca, representing the Riverside County Superintendent of Schools and the 23 school district superintendents in Riverside County, in support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Ron Rapp on behalf of the California Federation of Teachers, in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anjanette Pelletier, representing San Mateo County SELPA and San Mateo County Office of Education and the 29 LEAs in San Mateo County. We are in support.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Alice Kessler on behalf of the SELPA Administrators of California, in strong support.
Sandra Morales on behalf of the County Superintendents Association, in support.
Good afternoon. Chris Steinhauser, Superintendent, Long Beach Unified. Long Beach Unified is in support.
Regina Hedin, Executive Director for Stanislaus SELPA. We are, all of my districts, 23 districts in the county office, are in support.
Sheldon Smith, I'm the Assistant Superintendent, San Luis Obispo County Office of Education, and we are in support.
Thank you very much. Any other additional witnesses in support? Any in opposition? Seeing no witnesses in opposition, questions from the committee? Seeing none from the committee, Mr. Simmerling, would you like to close?
Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you.
I'd move the item.
And I'll second it.
Okay, the motion is due pass to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Flora?
Aye.
Flora, aye. Gloria? Aye. Gloria, aye. Kylie? Aye. Kylie, aye. McCarty? Thurmond? Weber? Aye. Weber, aye.
Congratulations, sir. It's out. Thank you very much. Would you like to proceed with 1602?
Thank you. Very good job. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your stories.
1602.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, AB 1602.
Perfect. Thank you.
Here we go. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I accept the committee amendments identified in the analysis with a correction to the date for submission of the report from June 30th, 2023, as indicated in the analysis to January 1st, 2023. AB 1602 establishes a pilot project to allow 5 school districts in California to use an alternative assessment, such as the SAT, in place of the Smarter Balanced Assessment. We have heard from students, parents, and teachers that students spend too much time taking tests. In addition to the SBAC, high school students also take 1 or more AP tests and the SAT or the ACT, which are requirements for college admission. These tests take place at the same time during the spring. That's a common complaint we hear from parents. Too much testing all at once. In an effort to increase the college attendance rate, many school districts, including Oakland, Fresno, and my home district, Long Beach, pay the fees for students to take the SAT. Earlier this year, Long Beach Unified asked the State Board of Education for permission to use the SAT as an alternative to the SBAC. The State Board denied the request because the state assessment is not waivable. This bill establishes a pilot to evaluate whether the SAT or another assessment can be an indicator of student achievement and to evaluate the extent to which the SAT affects graduation and college-going rates. The pilot will apply only to 11th grade students and prohibits districts from charging a fee. As a teacher, one of the values of using the SAT is that it can be used as a diagnostic tool. The PSAT can be administered as early as 8th grade, which allows teachers to identify the areas that need improvement over several years. That diagnostic component is very important because the SBAC is not there on the diagnostic front. Students and parents are asking for this. Let's give a few districts a chance to show us whether it can be an effective tool for student achievement and college attendance. I would like to introduce Chris Steinhauser, the superintendent of Long Beach Unified School District, who will provide some information about the district's experience. Mr.
Thank
Steinhauser.
you, Assemblymember O'Donnell. My name is Chris Steinhauser, and I'm the superintendent with Long Beach Unified School District. And Mr. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. Long Beach Unified strongly supports AB 1602, which establishes this alternative grade 11 assessment pilot program. While the SBAC provides college readiness indicators in English and mathematics, the SAT provides the college readiness indicators as well as a metric to get into one of the 2,400 colleges or universities in our schools. In Long Beach Unified, we have been administering the PSAT in grades 8 through 11 and the SAT in grades 11 and 12 for several years. And we analyzed the scores last year, and we found that 49% of our 11th graders were college ready according to the SBAC in English Language Arts, and 28% were college ready in the area of mathematics. When we looked at the SAT scores, 49% were college ready in the SAT scores, and 29% were college ready in mathematics. So there's a direct correlation for this. One of the most powerful advantages to giving the SAT and the PSAT to our young people is this unbelievable free tutorial program for our young people. So when our students take the PSAT and the SAT, they are automatically given a diagnostic exam tool that our students can have that will help them on a daily basis to improve their PSAT and SAT scores. And I want to share something that happened this fall. The provost from CSU said, Chris, you had 400 young people last year that couldn't get into CSU Long Beach because they have a higher index than 2,900. It's 3,200 to get into CSU because so many people want to go there. So this fall, we identified 338 students who had index scores of 3,000 to 3,194. Remember, they need 3,200. I personally called those young people and said, you need to make sure you do your Khan Academy tutorials, because if you want to go to Long Beach State, you have to have 3,200. Out of 338, 121 improved their scores to 3,200 plus, and out of that, 117 students made it. 91% minority, 17% African American. This is an unbelievable game changer to close the achievement gap. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support?
Hi. This is Sarah Lillis with Ed Voice. We support the bill. We have a position of support if amended. We just want to be sure that all the results for this pilot are also reported in a disaggregated way for all subgroups.
Thank you very much. Any additional witnesses in support? Seeing none. Witnesses in opposition? Seeing none. Questions from the committee? I've got a second. Please call the roll. I'm sorry.
The motion. Oh.
Sim, would you like to close?
Ask for an aye vote. It's a good bill.
The motion is due pass as amended to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Flora?
Aye.
Flora, aye. Gloria? Aye. Gloria, aye. Kylie? Aye. Kylie, aye. McCarty? Thurmond? Aye. Thurmond, aye. Weber? Aye. Weber, aye.
Congratulations, sir. Bill's out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. First off, there is Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez, you're the first author up. It is file item number 746, I believe. Oh, no, it's AB 746.
It's a good thing you don't have file number 746. That'd be a long night.
Oh, not if you're quick.
All right. This bill is simple, Mr. Chair. It simply requires schools, which are not now doing so on a voluntary basis, but it would require schools to test their drinking fountains and water outlets for lead. And in doing so, if they come back with notices that there are higher than 15 parts per billion in lead exposure, it would require the school to immediately shut down that water source and to contact and allow parents to know that their child may have been exposed within 24 hours. This is a timely issue. In my district alone, there have been 3 schools that tested positive for lead this year. We've obviously realized that there has been a problem, and we know that we're probably not the only area in the state that has this problem. We know that the effects of lead are irreversible and that we need to ensure the safety of our children first. And so that's what this bill does, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote. I have a couple of witnesses in support.
Been moved and seconded. Your witness is me.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Paula Viesquez, Governing Board Member of the San Juan Unified School District. We're the 11th largest district in the state of California with more than 46,000 students across 60 campuses. I'm pleased to be here in support of Assembly Bill 746, which requires California schools to test drinking water for lead and to immediately remove from service any water sources that are found to be contaminated above the EPA's acceptable limits. The first priority of every school must be the health and safety of our students. That must include protecting them from exposure to lead in their drinking water. Unfortunately, this is an issue that affects far too many schools in California, both urban and rural. Lead's exposure causes a number of long-lasting health issues, including neurological damage, hearing impairment, and poor classroom performance. The tragedy in Flint, Michigan has raised awareness of the dangers of lead contamination, and it is incumbent upon us that drinking water for kids here in California is safe and free from contamination. I want to personally thank the Assembly member for her leadership on AB 746, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you.
Bill Alio for Environmental Working Group. Am I on? Bill Alio, Environmental Working Group in support. I have to tell you a personal story. I won't name the districts or people, but my daughter's in a local school district here. And much to my chagrin, after 5 years of I do environmental health issues, I wondered, is there lead in her drinking fountains? I called the district facilities people. I got sort of a runaround, like, we've already tested for lead. We took everything out. I said, really? Can I see the results? 2 weeks later, well, we haven't really tested for lead, and we haven't done. finally, they go well and silent. Suddenly I see results for a lead test after I had called. They had rushed it through. So I emailed and said, guess what? There's now free money to do this. So they ended up testing classrooms, picking randomly sinks. They didn't test any drinking fountains. So my daughter, other kids could still be drinking from fountains that may or may not have lead. AB 746 will help us get to the bottom of this. You may have noticed there's a lot of lead bills this year. Mr. Quirk, Dr. Quirk from the chair of ESCM has one on universal lead testing. The Rubio has a bill. One issue to note here is the level of lead to look at, 1, 5, 15 parts per billion, is at issue in these bills. And we want to support this effort moving forward. We think that still has to be worked out. That's both economically feasible but still protects our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others in support? Please state your name, affiliation, and position on the bill only.
Christina Hildebrand, a Voice for Choice Advocacy, in support.
Christy Sepulveda Burchett with Educate Advocate in support.
Darla Boyerman, Santa Cruz County for Health Choice, support.
James Hinton, Californians for Alternatives to Toxics, in support.
Roscoe Kiang, Green Party, California member, and individual school board member from Vallejo, in support.
Hello, my name is Summer McSweeney, and I am in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any opposition? Please come forward. And I just confirm you do accept the amendments.
I do accept the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to ask that. Nancy Chidas Espinosa with the California School Boards Association. We do appreciate the author accepting the amendments and working with stakeholders throughout the process. California School Boards Association currently has an oppose unless amended position. There are a few more implementation issues, things that we would like to work out with this bill. For example, we appreciate the author using initial testing the US EPA standard of 15 parts per million for lead contamination. We would like to see that used consistently throughout. For example, the bill still uses a 5 parts per million trigger for requiring testing of all of the other water outlets throughout a school site. So we would like to see consistent use of that US EPA standard, for example. And we look forward to working with the author.
Thank you. Any other opposition? Seeing no other opposition, any comments from the committee members? Mr. McCarty?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for bringing this measure up. I'm a joint author. This issue was a local concern as well at the higher education level, so I'm glad this bill focuses on K-12, but also our university schools. And this, could be very, very costly to retrofit every pipe in a school if you look across California. But I think what this issue is about is just having information. So we'll have testing available, and the public will know, parents will know, districts will know, and if they want to apply for funding or use the local resources to address that, they can do so. But I think information is power, and this focuses on that basic principle. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment, you may close.
I just respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Do we have a motion? A second? We already did. Okay. Please call the roll.
The motion is due passed with amendments to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Flora? Gloria? Gloria, aye. Kylie? Kylie, aye. McCarty? McCarty, aye. Thurmond? Thurmond, aye. Weber? Weber, aye. It's out.
The bill is out. We'll now move to file item number 25. Mr. Grayson. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. AB 1469 would improve educational opportunities for California's low-income youth by ensuring that students who attend Title I schools have free transportation to and from school. According to the California Attorney General's 2015 In-School and On-Track report, poverty is a significant cause of school absence, and nearly 1 in 10 students who miss 18 or more days of school per year come from low-income families. As a matter of fact, while serving locally, I authored the daytime curfew ordinance, which ended up being a prototype for Contra Costa County. While doing that, I did learn that the inability to afford transportation to and from school is one of the most frequently cited barriers that youth from low-income families face in attending school. Unfortunately, California does not guarantee school bus transportation to students who live beyond walking distance from school, and many districts have significantly reduced or eliminated busing except for special education students. In an effort to address this issue, AB 1469 would create the Transportation and Access to Public School Fund and require the Superintendent of Public School Instruction, upon appropriation by the legislature, to allocate money to school districts and other local education agencies to fund free transportation. The bill also specifies that this provision will only become operative to the extent that funding is provided in the Annual Budget Act or in another statute. So I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and I do have witnesses.
Good afternoon. My name is Janae Wheeler, and I'm a student at Youth Justice Coalition's High School. We are honored to be co-sponsors of Assembly Bill 1469. I was born in Los Angeles. When I was 3 months old, my mom was incarcerated, and me and my brothers and sisters were split up and put in foster homes. I didn't come back to live with my mom until 15 years later. Coming home from prison after 15 years in and out, my mom is struggling to find a job. She has 6 children, including me, and she gets $600 a month in public assistance. With that, she has to cover housing, food, and all our expenses. So, of course, she doesn't have the extra $244 a month to get all of us Metro passes. I work to help my family, but I also have to choose between school supplies and food for me and my brothers and sisters. So I usually don't have money left for transportation. Sometimes I have to ask my neighbors and even complete strangers for help to get bus fare. But having to ask for money is extremely embarrassing for me and my family, knowing that you are practically begging for money. Sometimes I ask the bus driver for a free ride, but the bus drivers often call the police when people ask for a ride, so I'm scared to do that. Sometimes I ride the buses and trains without fare, but I have also been stopped and searched by the sheriffs on the train. Once, when I was late to school, they gave me a truancy ticket. I also have to take my little cousin to school, and I worry about what would happen if I got arrested. Would they put him in foster care? So usually me and my little cousin walk to school. I was getting to school late almost every day. So even though I'm only 17, my high school kicked me out without a referral to another school. I found the Youth Justice Coalition, and now I get a free Metro Pass for my school. My attendance is almost perfect, and I will be able to graduate high school by December. In a survey the Youth Justice Coalition conducted of more than 3,000 students, 71% report lateness to school due to transportation problems, and 44 of those who had missed school said that all their absences would have been solved if they had free transportation. We have enough money to pay for student passes in our communities, but in Los Angeles County, the MTA gives $110 million each year to sheriffs and police departments to check Metro passes and patrol the trains and buses. Less than 20% of this money could pay for a Metro Pass for every student in LA County, kindergarten through college. Every county has these kinds of solutions, but unfortunately, sometimes the state has to force counties to do the right thing. If you care about youth education, then all students need to have a safe and free way to get to school. Please pass Assembly Bill 1469. Thank you.
Thank you. She went a little bit over, so please be brief.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Stoll-Parvensky with the Children's Defense Fund California, and we're proud to co-sponsor AB 1469. Education is the best pathway out of poverty, and in order to be able to appreciate that, our students need a way to get to school. They need free transportation to school. We've heard loud and clear from youth and families across the state, including right here, that inability to afford transportation to school is a key barrier to attending school. Youth that CDF works with in Long Beach Unified have to walk long distances or through very rough neighborhoods because their families don't have a ride or money to pay bus fare. When low-income students miss class because they cannot afford transportation to school, we are denying them their right to an education and putting our most vulnerable students at a lifelong disadvantage. AB 1469 would improve school attendance, reduce achievement gaps, and increase graduation rates for low-income children by guaranteeing transportation to students attending Title I schools. A study in Minneapolis of a program to provide free transit passes to high school students found that pass users had a 23 percentage point lower absentee rate. If we want our LCFF and education investments in high need students to be effective, then we need to make sure those students can actually get to school. I urge you to make our poorest students a priority and vote aye.
Thank you. Others in support?
Jessica Bartholow with the Western Center on Law and Poverty. We're a co-sponsor in support.
Kim McGill from the Youth Justice Coalition, honored to be co-sponsors in strong support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members, Roscoe Kiang, individual school board member from Vallejo and Green Party member. Please support Mr. Grayson's bill. Thank you.
Any others? Seeing no others in support, any opposition?
Erica Hoffman on behalf of the California School Boards Association. Let me just start out saying we understand the need to have transportation and to get kids to school. The bigger issue for us is the fact that the current transportation funding formula is outdated, and really isn't funded. And that's what's actually needed if we really want to get these kids to school. Understand having a program where it's addressing the low-income students. But one of the concerns is, great, we get the program on the books. And then what happens? Does it ever get funded? If we're going to be funding a program of this nature, I think it would serve all students of the state to actually look at the current funding formula and to fix that problem. So thank you.
Thank you. Any others in opposition? Seeing no others in opposition, any comments from the committee? Mr. Thurman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for this bill. And I wanted to commend your co-author from the Youth Justice Academy for turning the story around. It's a great story that you have shared, and that you've turned a difficult experience into advocacy for helping others. We know that we'll see you sitting up here someday soon, so thank you for your good work. To the author, I just want to say, if for some reason this doesn't end up in a budget appropriation, are you willing to work with local districts and maybe even their transit agencies? Transit agencies will turn young people away, so they're not filling the seats anyway. And so why can't they be open to other alternatives, like allowing some students to be able to ride if those seats are unfilled anyway? And would you be willing to work with them and to look at bills like AB 1014, which is an RFP program that give school districts money to keep kids in school with good attendance? You linked how this is an issue that causes truancy, and you're correct. AB 1014 is an RFP grant that's out right now that would help districts to have resources to do things to keep kids in school, including truancy prevention. I'm just asking because I don't want this to be a conversation that goes away when we get to the end of the cycle and they say, oops, sorry, no money for the budget. Are you willing to continue to work on it and champion it and work with the right stakeholders to help get some money to make sure we can make this a reality?
My passion is access to school for all kids, and it was when I was on the local level, and it is here now and will be even when I'm in the community. So yes, I am fully committed to every avenue possible, from working with amendments to working in the community with other groups as well, getting our kids back in school.
I appreciate your commitment. I'll move the bill.
Thank you. Second.
Okay. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. You may close.
I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
All right. Thank you. And thank you to your presenter. You did a wonderful job. And Mr. Thurman, I think you have there's more conversation to be had about that topic and that concept of working with transit agencies to get kids to school. I think it's probably the avenue we need to head down, at least for now. So with that, it's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Due pass is amended to appropriations. Oh, no amendments? Okay, I apologize. O'Donnell, aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Flora? Gloria? Aye. Gloria, aye. Kylie? Aye. Kylie, no. McCarty? Aye. McCarty, aye. Thurmond? Aye. Thurmond, aye. Weber? Aye. Weber, aye. It's got 5 dead.
Thank you. The bill is out. With that, we'll move to file item number 7. Mr. Levine, file item number 7. You may proceed when ready. We're doing it's file item number 7. I think it's AB. I think it's 1122. I don't know. 838.
I have yes, Mr.
It's
Chair.
838.
I have 576 and 838.
What's that?
576 and 838.
526.
576.
You pick and just tell us what we're doing.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll start with 576, please.
Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I accept the technical amendment offered by the committee and the striking of Section 1 from the bill. I am pleased to present AB 576, a bill that requires a school to notify parents when certain disciplinary actions take place at schools. In some instances, parents are not informed about their child's behavior within a reasonable timeline. A parent's lack of knowledge about a child's conduct can lead to a more frequent or more severe punishments for a student. A study published in Sage Journals called Improving Student Behavior and School Discipline with Family and Community Involvement found that creating more connections and greater cooperation among the school, family, and community may be one way for schools to improve student behavior and school discipline. Current law requires teachers and school administrators to contact a parent or guardian when a student is suspended from school. However, there's no requirement for schools to notify parents when their child has received detention or for repeated behavior that will lead to suspension. AB 576 would require a school administrator to make a reasonable effort to notify a parent when they are considering suspending their child or when their child has been placed in detention outside of instructional hours. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Any others in support? Come forward, please.
Lydia Bourne, representing American Academy of Pediatrics, in support.
Thank you. Seeing no other support, any opposition?
Mr. Chair, Tony Triguero on behalf of the California Teachers Association. We first want to apologize to the author. We got our letter in late. We have some issues regarding the definition of detention at different levels, elementary, middle, and high school. We don't think that legislation that should be covered in school district policies and procedures allows the districts to best meet the needs of their students. In this case, one size does not fit all. On page 7, lines 7 through 12, there's a reference that teachers will notify parents if their detention is called for or suspension is a result of the detention. It's not the teacher who makes that decision about suspension, it's the administrator. So we are unclear as to how that would actually play out. Also, additionally, at the secondary level, one teacher may not always have access to information regarding incidences that occur in another teacher's classroom. So if there's a disciplinary problem in English and a separate problem in math, if the counselor or assistant principal suspends the student based on a cumulative discipline issues in multiple classrooms, it's not clear how this proposed language would apply. So at this point, we have an opposed position on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opposition to the bill? Thank you. Those are probably legitimate concerns that I'm sure the author is going to work through.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was grateful to get CTA's letter of opposition on Monday. Didn't have time to really work with them, but we look forward to working with them.
And those are legitimate concerns.
I agree.
Administrator role. Yeah. You get it, so thank you. Do we have Mr. Kiley?
Thank you, Mr. Levine. And I think this is a very worthy measure when it comes to contact with law enforcement and suspensions. I mean, most schools do this already and reach out to parents, but if they don't, then I think they should. When it comes to the detentions, similar to the comments from the representative from the Teachers Association, it just seems unworkable to me. So could you just maybe provide a little more explanation as why you think this is necessary for detentions and whether you might be willing to amend that out of the bill?
No, actually, it's I don't think I would be able to. And so what's happening is that some students are getting detentions and their parents aren't getting notified about it, and then they're not able to intervene with their child and help them work through whatever that issue might be, or whatever the issue at school is. And so what a lot of studies have shown is that when there is greater parental or family or whoever the adult in their life is that can help that student be successful, that they will have a better outcome. And so we're trying to make sure that there's certainty with children throughout the state that they're going to have the ability to intervene and be an advocate for them to help them resolve whatever that issue might be. And to the point that the CTA rep made, I'm very pleased to work with them to try to make it as workable as possible.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing no other comments, do we have a motion? You may close.
I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Great. And the motion is do pass as amended.
That's right.
To appropriations.
That's right. Striking of Section 1 and the technical amendment as offered by the committee.
That clarifies the reasonable effort. Great. Please call the roll.
O'Donnell.
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Flora. Gloria. Gloria, aye. Kylie. Kylie not voting. McCarty. McCarty, aye. Thurmond. Thurmond, aye. Weber. Weber, aye. Has 5 votes.
The bill has 5 votes, so it is out. We're going to move on to...
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Members. 838.
File item number 7, which I believe is 858.
838.
838.
Yeah. All right. Thank you again, Mr. Chair and members. I accept the amendments. Sounds familiar. I accept the amendments put forward by the committee, and thank you for the thorough analysis of the bill. I know there was a lot of hard work done by committee staff on this as on the other bill, and I really appreciate it. I'm pleased to present AB 838, the Pravda Act. The 2016 presidential election was unlike any other in modern history. From the rise of fake news and targeted social media campaigns to the ongoing inquiry of the Federal Bureau of Investigation into the presidential campaigns, California students have a lot to learn about the American electoral process. On January 16, 2017, the Director of National Intelligence released a report assessing Russian activities and intentions in recent U.S. elections. In this declassified intelligence briefing, it was assessed that Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. In this report, it was determined with a high degree of probability that Russia intended to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. They also assessed the Russian government developed a clear preference for President Trump. Russian interference in elections is now considered the new normal around the world. Therefore, we must ensure students in California are aware of actual and potential threat of hostile foreign governments' attempts to influence their thoughts and opinions about our nation's leaders. AB 838 creates a model curriculum around the American electoral process using the 2016 presidential election as its focus. This bill will give California students and teachers the tools necessary to analyze the facts and find the truth about the American electoral process and the 2016 presidential election.
Thank you. Any others in support? Seeing no others in support, any opposition?
Christina Hildebrand, I'm here on behalf of myself, not our organization, but I'm in opposition because it sets precedents for, how many other things are we going to have bills for that are going to say we should put something in the school books of our children. So I just think it's an unnecessary bill. I'm sure the correct history, I trust that the correct history will be put into our school's children's books. Thank you.
And let me comment on that. What this bill does is it requires the Instructional Quality Commission to develop a model curriculum on the 2016 presidential election for voluntary use in secondary government courses, as I see it here. And this bill's changed significantly. The author has something much more comprehensive that we did alter. But given that it's his birthday, we thought we'd give him a bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I hear what you're saying, but I think the same can be true for any other piece of history that we have.
I more than share your opinion. So.
Chrissy Sepulveda Burchett in opposition. Thanks.
Darla Boyerman, Creative Learning Academy, opposed.
Summer McSweeney opposed.
Thank you. See no more opposition. Any comments from the committee? I see no comments from the committee. You may close.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And again, I really appreciate the committee staff's work on this voluntary curriculum that people could use to help teach and instruct students. And it's fascinating to me as we develop this, how many things that the legislature actually has weighed in that should be taught, like the significance of President Obama being elected, or environmental education, or the Chinese Exclusion Act. And I think that this takes a much less intrusive role in education for our students than those other important things that we did weigh in on as well. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
The motion.
Oh, do we have a motion?
No, we don't.
Been moved by Dr. Weber, seconded by Ms. Flory.
Okay. The motion is do pass with amendments to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Flora? Gloria? Aye. Gloria, aye. Kylie? Kylie, no. McCarty? Thurmond? Thurmond, I. Weber? Weber, I.
The bill is 4 votes, so it is out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members.
And a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Ms. Limon. I don't know what bill she has out.